Hi everyone. We have Max here today, who's been working with us at FreelanceClients for just a couple of months now. I think it's 3 or 4. And yeah, we just wanted to share his story, his experience working with us. Yeah, Max, if you can just please introduce yourself and let people know what kind of freelancer you are, that would be amazing.
Sure. My name is Max Partain. I'm a Emmy-winning video editor turned entrepreneur, and most of my clients are producers at agencies or speakers. I do a large breadth of things in the freelance world.
Nice. Okay, cool. So basically, I know we tested a couple of
Mhm.
offers since we started, right? And obviously that's some testing. How would you describe your overall experience with our collaboration so far, like the last couple of months?
Yeah, initially, I mean, when somebody says they can get you clients, I always thought it was kind of garbage because I was like, well, what do you mean you can get me clients? I was really skeptical. I didn't really believe it, but I've really felt like the systems and processes that your team had would align well with the vision that I had for my company. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. And the first month or two was all testing. And we were figuring out, like what's my offer? What's the wording that I need to use through LinkedIn messaging or whatever medium we decided to go with to get people to have a good reply rate, to get people to schedule onto my calendar, to be able to have a sales call, to be able to close them. And what I liked about working with you is that you helped me through that whole process from figuring out the offer to managing the messaging to creating automations after they book a call to helping me on my sales calls by reviewing my calls afterward. That enabled me to go from making almost $0 with my offer, with my new offer that you helped me create, to making ten to $20,000 per month in three
Nice.
or 4 months. Like insane, insane.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, like it happened pretty quick, so it's not like a very long-winded journey, but it's also like not instant, right?
It
Because
was also really painful. Like the first couple of months, I was like, "What's happening? This is not
yeah.
working." But you always spoke very kindly and were like, "This is just a part of the process. Experimenting, figuring out what works, and then honing in on that thing that works eventually
Yeah.
is what made this successful."
Yeah, and I'm glad that we could push through that initial phase because Max, like in most cases, success isn't going to happen like in the first try or with the first attempt or with the first
No,
offer. Sometimes
pretty much almost never.
yeah, almost never. Sometimes it does. Like I'm not going to say no. We've had clients who like we just nailed it from the first go, and it is what it is. But I don't want
Mhm.
that to be like the average expectation someone has, right?
Yeah,
Because you need to test a couple of things.
yeah.
Um, and the fact that you mentioned that you've been through that period in the beginning and then rapidly scaled from 0 to now 10, 20k a month
Mhm.
shows that if you have patience through the process, then things are going to snowball eventually.
It was all about being patient.
Yeah,
I
and
was
that's
not patient to start.
yeah, and I want to get into that because I know maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the reasons why you weren't that patient in the beginning was because you had that bad experience in the past with another vendor. Is that
Yeah,
true?
totally. I had a different vendor that basically promised me the same thing, but it was through a different process, and I would have to be paying for ad spend. They're like, pay us a flat rate of $1,700, and all you got to do is pay for the ads to go. But they didn't really. That was it. And I was like, well, that's not too bad. So then they're like, okay, so how much do you have to spend on ads? $1,000 a month. And I was like, I don't have $1,000 a month to spend on ads.
Yeah.
And eventually, I did give them the money, and nothing ever happened. They didn't walk me through the process. They didn't give me data. They were just like, yeah, it's not really working. And they had no facts to back it up. So I felt really burned. And I was just like, this is never going to work. Trying to have somebody else do this for me is never going to work. I'll just do it all myself.
Yeah.
And then eventually I found you and I was like, I really don't want to do it. I really don't think I should do it. But I got a gut feeling about this guy and this business. And I went with it. And here we
Yeah.
are.
It's crazy. It's crazy that even when we talked initially, like you told me you guys went a couple of months and you didn't even have an offer, right? Which is,
Yep.
it's for a company that has past clients and data, it shouldn't take more than a couple of weeks to build a couple of offers that you can test out, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, in full transparency, man, like I could see it when we had that first conversation that you were super skeptical because of that other thing. And if you remember, we had like a couple more conversations after that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But ultimately, like I'm just curious. Besides, besides just like the process aligning with what you were looking for, what actually made you pull the trigger on this, especially so shortly after you got burned by the other company?
Oh, okay. What a question. What made me pull the trigger on this? I pretty much had no money. So I was just like betting on you. I trusted you. I trusted that this could work. I mean, it really did take me a long time to come around to this. Um, but you pretty much gave me free value just by our initial conversations and saying, well, here's what I think you should do, whether you go with me or not. I think you should do X, Y, and Z. So I knew that you knew what you were talking about and that you had done this in the past. And so eventually I just said, you know what? I'm going to regret it if I don't do it, and I might regret it if I do it. But I have to try. I'll give it 3 months. I think I said I'll give you 3 months.
Yeah, yeah. And that's good because if you remember it as well, like on our initial call, I always tell this to people, and if someone's watching and they're just about to hop on a call with me and they're watching this before, there is that initial commitment for 2 to 3 months that I talked about with you as well,
Yeah.
because
Initially I was like 1 month and we'll figure it all out. And you're like, well, it'll take
yeah,
a little bit longer,
yeah,
which is
exactly.
true.
Exactly. And I wanted to be transparent, right? Because I didn't want to be that person that's just gonna leverage that and take your money for a month and then nothing
Yeah.
happens. Imagine if you would have stopped after a month because I would have set the wrong expectations and you wouldn't have pushed through with month 2 and 3 and you would be like on the way to get to where you are now, but you wouldn't because you
Yeah.
just so that's the
Yeah.
importance of setting expectations right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. So Max, like I know you said that right now you scale to about like 10, 20k.
Mhm.
And obviously we're gonna talk about bringing more into that revenue pipeline later down the road.
Yeah.
Now, can you share like a particular story, success story or win that you achieved by working with us? That is not necessarily related to money or anything, but just a big milestone, that you've achieved kind of working with us.
It's not related to money.
Well, we can talk about money too if you want.
Well, one of the biggest milestones was that I just passed 200k per year in a 12-month period, and that was like a big aspirational goal for me. And I couldn't find something that was high value, low cost to be able to get there. It was always high value, high cost, and I get stuck at around the 150k mark. And eventually, once we created this offer together and started marketing it, I realized, okay, people really value this. It doesn't cost me too much, so it's really scalable. So I can get those 10 to 20k clients, know that I'm going to fulfill what they want. I can set their expectations, and hitting that goal was really big.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I'm glad. See, like it's not even about the clients you close; it's about just having the offer. Now, you have the
The
offer.
offer, see, closing the freelance clients, you're selling that they'll get more clients, but what you offer is so much more because you're actually giving them a offer that their clients would want, and you're working with them to make sure that they package it in a way that's compelling for their target audience, which you're helping to define. It wasn't like hey, here's the people that I think you should go to. You're like, here's the people that are responding best, that you're closing best, and you're using data rather than just like feelings and vibes.
Yeah, the vibes don't pay. They don't pay the bills. So
No.
it's pretty. Data is something that we genuinely focus on, and I mention this to everyone that that's the beauty of this business. The more clients we work with, the more data we have, the more like bulletproof the whole process is because we know so many things about so many different industries.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that you see it much more than just a client generation service, right?
Yeah.
I also want to dive a bit into the fact that obviously this is done for you as far as client acquisition goes, right? So how did you find that experience? That you don't have to be the one like getting down in the trenches every single day and sending messages and like of course maybe it helps from time to time, but yeah, just your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Every time that I'm like, maybe I could do this. I see what they're doing. Maybe I could do it. And then I look at the amount of value that I'm getting and how it's all done for me. And I would have to hire somebody else to do it anyways. That would cost more than what you charge. And the leads I would be worse off if I tried to do it myself, making less money, being more frustrated. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, that's a pretty short and sweet answer.
Or
So
does that answer your question?
yeah, no, it does. It definitely does.
All
So
right.
for you, just it was a no-brainer to do this.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. If you're good at something, and you know that there's people out there that would find what you do valuable, you just don't know how to package it in a way where people get on a call, they understand what you do, and then you sell them on a four-figure thing, then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah,
Just freaking do it. Just do it. And if you regret it, you can call me.
yeah.
Don't call me. Don't call me.
Yeah, no, well, we're not gonna have Mac's phone number anyway, for privacy reasons. But yeah, cool, Max. So thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts about this and your wins and success stories. Before we wrap this up, what would you say to someone who is watching this right now and is basically in your position that you were in like before signing up with us? Like obviously you just said let's do it, you should do it, but like what would you actually deeply say to someone in that position?
If you're on the fence and you're not sure if you should work or hire freelance clients, I would say to one, check out his reviews. This is a real person with a real business with real results, and you won't regret it.